Sang, and our text that we are studying is Vivekachudamani. For those of you who are new here, we are dedicating our spiritual dialogue to discussing these great teachings from an ancient text and by Adi Shankaracharya, a great Vedanta scholar and teacher. And through this dialogue of its 540 verses, verse by verse, we are honing our spiritual discrimination so that we can begin to discriminate between the self, the true self, the authentic abiding self, and what is the non-self. Often there is a scenario in which there is an outer situation, the world of objects and people, the world, the material world populated by living and non-living objects and beings, the world, which is the scene, the scenery, which in Sanskrit we call drishya, and then there is the observer, which we call as drik. And sometimes this situation is such that whatever the observer is seeing outside, good, bad, becomes identified as the reality of the observer. And it happens so because there is some equipment in between which is known as, which are provided for the ability to have the drishya, for drishya shakti, to be able to view. And these organs or this equipment, it is subtle in nature, it is internal in nature. So it is called as the antahakarna, or what is internal, what is not outside. So we cannot see the mind. We can see the nose, but we cannot see the mind. It is an antahakarna. We cannot see the intellect, the buddhi, because it is part of the antahakarna. And we can actually only see the physical nose, the physical structure, but we cannot really see the indriya or the sense and its functioning and how it grasps and how it connects. So there are these internal equipment which enables drishya. It empowers the ability to perceive, but it comes with an inbuilt limitation. This antahakarna, or the equipment that enables one to vision, is facing outwards. So when the observer, using the subtle equipment, amazing equipment, no computer can simulate it, even begin to. No artificial intelligence can even begin to decode the intelligence with which this equipment operates. But what it does, it sees what is outside of it, and because this internal equipment is not real, it is not alive, it is not sentient, it is not conscious, it is not chaitanya, it is achaitanya, it is non-alive, it is only specialized matter, specialized energy, but it is not consciousness. So because the observer completely utilizes, cannot differentiate between itself and its equipment, and therefore the equipment cannot differentiate between what it is viewing and itself, there is a complete and total fusion. When we fall asleep, our senses are asleep, one part of the equipment is asleep, but our mind is awake. And this mind is an aspect of the subtle internal equipment, and it starts projecting scenery after scenery. And what does the observer do? The unawakened observer. The unawakened observer, using its equipment at night, starts thinking in the dream, I am suffering, there is a nightmare, there is someone in the room, now I am married to the most beautiful woman in the world. Today I have become rejected. Yesterday, things change. And there is complete experience of the self and identification in the dream. Then when awakened, the senses are awake, the mind is awake, and the physical senses are giving the terrain, the logistics, the longitude, latitude, geographical, moral, cultural, social, environmental, biological data is being put into the mind, and the intellect is quickly ascertaining it. But the person, the moment they wake up, in the dream they were rich and they were a king, and they suddenly realize, they look around, they live in a one-bedroom apartment with no windows and no job opportunity, and they say, I am helpless, I am broken, I am poor. So this whole dialogue is about differentiating this I from what is being viewed and what is being used to view. And this, in spiritual practice, is called discrimination, or the act of Viveka. The discrimination is not between strawberry ice cream and vanilla ice cream. It is not between this person and that person. Discrimination is not utilized at the deepest spiritual level in the practice of Vedanta, which is considered as the loftiest spiritual gift of the sages of India to the world. Between one object and another, one person and another, one preference and another, but between what is permanent, what is the abode of absolute existence, absolute knowledge, and absolute bliss, which is the I, and what is transient, which is this equipment that changes from time to time, ages, and then even changes with a new body, and with a world that anyway changes by the hour, by the minute, and is completely unmappable. Google is trying to map it, but it is unable to map it beyond a point. Great kudos to Google for mapping the world. I mean, it excites me. However, you walk the same path, your dog, and that path changes every day. And the way the light falls, what is happening in the fern and the moss, what is aging, what is decaying, what new is blossoming. It is incomprehensible, the amount of change there. Then it is incomprehensible and multitude magnitude of change that is happening at the equipment level, because it is the mind. It has to deal with billions of gallons of data. It's just doing its job. Doing it pretty good. You're able to take one step at a time and navigate Earth. However, it is what is not the self. Because the whole spiritual issue is about, are you identified with what is not eternal and so therefore will come to pass? Or are you established in what is eternal? Inside you is hidden something special. And that special being, that special Shakti, that special power is the spiritual power. It cannot be suppressed. It shows up again and again in our desire to be happy, which means that our basic nature is happiness. It shows up again and again in our desire for freedom. Whether it is the teenage rebelling, whether it is the wife rebelling, whether it is a people rebelling against an unlawful, unconstitutional governance. This basic root, I am not justifying rebellion because it too shall pass. What I am talking about is that somewhere we are unhappy to be unhappy. That means happiness is our true nature. Also, we are unhappy to be small and ignorant and small-minded. Everywhere in the world, more and more knowledge seems to please us. But it is not ordinary knowledge. Reading more books, getting more degrees will only keep us still in the world. Our equipment is quite focused. That's okay. But the moment a sage speaks of that free bird within, suddenly, be a person of any religion, any culture, any age, begins to feel oneness with that message. And so therefore, the knowledge of this special being is what we are all seeking. And that is why, be it a lover, be it a great spiritual teacher, be it a great religious institution, none could hold us forever. Do you agree? Only what could hold us was when all of these in positive state of fortune became roads to lead us to this special being within. So I submit to my Lord in the idol or on the cross or in the church or in the temple or in the fire because that reminds me of that within. I sit, Upanishad, I sit with great surrender at my teacher's feet because my teacher gives me that special knowledge that sets me free. So therefore we are exploring at Vedika week after week, at least till I am in this equipment, physical and mental. We are exploring how to discriminate between what is the self and what is the paraphernalia, what is the world. And it is not enough to say randomly, world is a dream, world is an illusion. That feels like a statement in a hurry. Of course, great teachers have said it, but then we have to read their entire book to come to that conclusion. So I'm not saying it's completely wrong. It's a qualified statement. So Vedanta, what we are studying, uses a unique word called mithya. Mithya, can you say it? Mithya. Yes. Now this mithya means it lives, world is our existence. Apart from our true self, everything. Body, mind, intellect, this world, objects, time, space, everything. It comes in the category of mithya. This mithya has to be understood. This mithya is not absolute truth called satya. You know satyam? Most of you know it. It is not sat. It is not eternal. Something that is not eternal cannot be truth. So to say that this chocolate chip cookie contains 60 units of happiness. Well, When you're hungry, it contains 60 million units of happiness. But when you're feeling nauseated, it contains negative units of happiness. Do you agree? That means it is not a qualified truth. It's changeable. Do you agree? If you most things you put into your life, they will come under, they are not complete truth. But if we say to you that everyone wants freedom of expression, of speech, of love, of creativity, of choice, do you agree? Oh yeah. Even that little newborn infant doesn't want mom's cloth to come like this. It wants to come like this. And it lets you know by screaming. Freedom. Self-expression. Huh? And everybody wants happiness. That is why our Rishi Charak says, Sukharta Sarva Bhutanam. Everybody wants happiness because happiness is their basic nature. And nobody wants to be corrupt. Nobody wants to be criminal. And nobody wants to be manipulative, though they are. So what happens? They suffer from psychosomatic conditions. Like Lady Macbeth, they wash their hands. They commit the crimes. They suffer from disease. Why? Because adharma, or non-ethical behavior, is not true nature. I would have also taken a profession in crime, except that it comes with this heavy-duty psychosomatic conflict. Do you understand? One of the reasons people change their entire lives, if you talk to prisoners who have recovered or people who have forgiven even when forgiveness was not due, is because they feel better. Do you agree? Hands up. Ethics or dharma is the foundation of existence. So therefore, there is something called absolute truth, and that is unchangeable. But our life here, it neither goes into that place all the time, because there is lots of modes of existence, and then nor can it be negated. Do you see? It's in between. Either it is neither satyam, it is neither asat, non-existence, or untruth. It is neither absolute existence, because then it should be eternal, like the self, nor is it non-existence. You see, it is still there. This is there. This world is there. It's there. I can feel it. I can touch it. I can smell it. And yet, when I fall asleep, it is gone. And its unique requirements on me are gone. And another world starts. Off I go, drinking and eating and seeking in that world. And then no matter how much money I have in my Wells Fargo account in this world, if I am poor in that world, I am still poor and I am suffering. So you don't realize that in 24-hour cycle, you are obliged to live in two worlds of experiences. Do you see that? And now we're talking stress. Yeah. Two worlds. Okay, two worlds. Then they both disappear when you are in deep sleep. So therefore, this changeable existence, non-existence, sat, asat, appears like truth, is there but is changeable and slippery. This special situation is called mithya. Can you say it again? Mithya. So, I am about to embark upon the shloka that is the quintessence of Vedanta teaching. It is the quintessence of this entire book. And it is the quintessence of Vedanta, all three types of Vedanta. And it is the quintessence of the thought of the entire Indian spiritual Vangmay, literature, thought. Okay. So those of you who have come here first time, wow. Wow to you. What a wonderful mithya you operate in, huh? So, to our good karmic destiny, we read this most important shloka. That is why I don't bother getting new glasses, broken glasses. It too shall break. It's just shloka number 20. We have already done 19 last time, where we had gone into the laying out of the plan, do you remember, of sadhana chatushtai, the fourfold sadhana. And we have talked about the fourfold sadhana being viveka or discrimination. Second is vairagya, detachment. Third is shada sampati, which involves 6 types of deeper practices of mind control. And the fourth is moksha, or when we get ready for complete liberation. What liberation doesn't mean is that we suddenly leave this body. Liberation means that we are suddenly, we use the whole mind equipment to disengage from the world that it is seeing default, and through knowledge we are able to perceive, takes some effort, but we use the same equipment to perceive the real observer, the true self. So that was Shlok 19. Maybe I should just read it again. Adao nitya nitya vastu vivekaha pariganyate iha mutra phala bhoga viragasta dhanantaram shamadishta kasampattir mumukshatva miti svatam. While enumerating the qualifications, first we count the ability to discriminate between the real and the unreal, right? Nitya, anitya, you know these words now, students. Next comes a spirit of detachment, vairagya, from the enjoyment of the fruits of action here and hereafter. After that is the group of 6 virtues, beginning with calmness or shama, not kshama. And the last is undoubtedly an intense desire for liberation from attachment and identification with the non-reality, with mithya. Now we come to the most important shloka, it is shloka number 20. Brahma satyam jagan mithye tvevam rupo vinishchaya soyam nitya nitya vastu vivekaha samudahyataha. Brahma satyam, can you say that?
Brahma satyam.
Jagan mithya.
Jagan mithya.
So Brahma, you know, is Brahmana, the absolute reality. You have to stop in 7 minutes. So this shlok will continue for some time. Maybe in the next 2 more satsangs I will be teaching you this one. But the quintessence of the teaching is only that imperishable, unchangeable, undifferentiated, ever auspicious, ever peaceful, ever unchanged, completely knowledgeable reality, Brahma, that consciousness is satya or the truth. Jagat means the world is mithya. So imagine Imagine that Lord Buddha, Siddhartha, before he became Buddha, student of the Vedas and Vedanta, he is utilizing this knowledge to develop what you people now call Buddhism. You understand? He was a product of the same movement. Imagine him sitting under the tree meditating. Thoughts may come to interrupt his meditation on the self, and actually the stories go that many interruptions, including cosmic demonic interruptions called Mars, Sanskrit word, interrupt him. However, what must have been the thought that he pulled himself back to himself? Brahma satyam jagat mithya. Only this Brahma, which is Atman, is truth, satyam, the world is a mithya. If this becomes our living philosophy, will really someone who manages to hurt me have the last word in my life? Will some unfortunate situation or a betrayal or a disappointment be able to ruin me and stab me forever? No, because Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. If this is Mithya, I am not going to be so invested in it. I am not going to put my last dollar in it. Okay. I am going to be anchored more and more into this Brahma. Ye Brahma kya hai? What is this Brahma then? Then begins the inquiry. Then the student starts saying, oh, my spiritual practice is not about what I wear and how many malas I wrap around my neck or hand, and not about whether I am vegetarian or non-vegetarian. These are Ayurveda students know. Vegetarian diet has its own benefits and non-vegetarian foods has its own benefits. It is not about what I do. It is not about how I speak. It is not about what language. But it is really about this using the same internal equipment to do constant discrimination and contemplation upon Brahma Satyam. Say it again. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. And through this book, through this satsang, through our journey through Vedika, my entire effort, why I teach this is because when we human beings are Brahma, the very big teaching of Vedanta is that this Brahma, that incomprehensible that, lives in the Vayom, in the space of our own heart. No philosophy can give such an exalted position to the human being. And then they say, don't believe us. Look at the science. Don't believe us. There are 3 methods. Please ascertain what your teacher is teaching you, then call that teacher. Ascertain. And how to ascertain? 3 ways. Shruti, listen. Listen not to ordinary. Listen to this. Shruti, listen to the classic teachers, Grantha, scholars. Then Yukti, reason. Reason within yourself. Really? Is this mithya? No. He said he loves me. This cannot be mithya. Yeah, loves you. But with love comes hate. Hates you, yeah. But with hate lies latent seeds of love. But, oh, baby, in another home, oh, I've lost to death. All going on. Mithya. Contemplate. So first is Shruti, listen. Those who come repeat after repeat here, even students who are not going to have class, they stay, they listen. This is called the act of Shruti. This is a scientific process. You have to listen. After Shruti, Yukti, reason. And after that, Anubhuti, close your eyes, sit down and have experience. Anubhuti of your true self. There are 3 methods. Will you remember? Say Shruti,
Shruti,
Yukti,
Yukti,
Anubhuti.
Anubhuti.
Anubhuti means experience. Maybe you can add that to our Sanskrit terminology. Very important in the Vedanta scheme. And so the conclusion is Brahma satyam jagat mithya. When we start doing this discrimination, what is mithya, what is Brahma, what is mithya, what is Brahma, then this discrimination is called the discrimination between real and unreal, between eternal and transient, between truth and what looks like truth, mithya. And this act is the first sadhana, and it is called Viveka. When we start doing this act, at that time, our small questions of should I take this job, should I not? Should I say what is in my heart, should I keep quiet? Should I air this, should I suppress this? They will get answered because we are connecting with Brahma. And once we are connecting with Brahma, which is everywhere and within, right here, self, a special being is uncovered through Viveka. At that time, a different level of Shakti or power starts interplaying. And I want that future leaders of Ayurveda be established in this belief system of Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. It is not a misunderstood statement. It is a misunderstood statement by people who don't have a teacher. Because it is a fear-filled statement. What are you people talking about? World is a mithya, world is a mithya. Are you going to turn us into wallpaper? We just stand there and look at the world and say it is mithya, it is mithya. It is highly mithya. It is very fear-evoking. Are you saying that my child is a mithya? Understand. It's a larger belief system of mithya. Yes, this child is not yours. Where from it comes, where it passes through, it goes from child body to youth body to adult body to old age body to death and then on. It is passing through. You provide as mother, you provide nutrition through your rasadhatu, then you provide nutrition through cooking food, then you provide nutrition by writing a check. Then you provide nutrition by giving heritage. It's all nutrition, matter. So therefore, then people who are established in the scheme of things don't become cowards. They become very strong. Then they speak for their truth. Then they stand up for what they believe in. Actually, life begins when we begin to take away the growl from the life. Because the tiger is within, not outside. So with that I end. Jai Ma.